with a early turn in and moving that second turn in pretty quickly. So BlossoM should be in a good state for game 2.
Man, it's such an interesting dynamic that you bring up, like about that kind of, you know, the mid game and what that looks like considering the map differences. Because I agree with you when it comes to like, well, what that mid game might have looked like in Tomb of the Spider Queen. If you have the map so heavily pressured out, like what are you going to do with it? But I also want to raise it the other side. BlossoM had multiple options of very clear heavy advantages and failed to take them. And Tomb is also a map that punishes you hell hard.
True.
If you do not actually make sure you capitalize, especially around those web weaver phases. So I feel like, though I agree with you, I think if I was to vote who gains the upper hand more, I give it to BlossoM. But there is a bit of like it might not be as cut and dry, you know, as like the first glance. It's kind of cool little kind of intricacy based off of what we got from game 1. There's the Garrosh though, but it's not in the hands of SPT. Going to be picked up by BlossoM. I want me a Jaina.
Absolutely bonkers to me how much the eastern side of the world loves a Garrosh, man. He has been played, what, 5 times a day? Oh, 6 times? Being pulled into a lot of these maps here. And Malfurion being that mix up there with BlossoM, great. But you bring up the Jaina, you want her on the side for SPT?
I don't know if I need to see it committed at this point. And honestly, now that we see the Tracer, the kill potential threat that they have going into it might not be there. But it's just mainly that I like Jaina when it comes to wave clear maps and the kill potential she provides into the 4-man. J-Hal here.
Well, I mean, I'm bringing it up. You know, you brought up a good point about the mage-style play. This is something Super Perfect Team has done. When they get Tracer, they're willing to go into the Tassadar. They've shown that within their league as well. I think they're probably debating going Tassadar because it probably would not make it past second ban. But they have gone into a mage-style play later into the draft, whether it be it a Chromie, something that has been a standard on here, but potentially as well.
I've seen this before. Where was this, J-How?
Pretty much everywhere.
SPT versus the One here. Almost a very similar draft that we saw out of them, out of the region, having the Tassadar Tracer Diablo.
Is this a force wall Diablo?
I don't remember in that specific series if they had that, but I would like to. I think so, right? I actually think that that's a compositional, depending on how likely APOC is going to, number one, be a detriment to your opponent's composition, how many resources is going to draw, and more importantly, is it easy to clump, right? Because there are certain comps that stack so easy for APAC, and there are other ones where you go, yeah, I'm never going to hit that, right? So I think that it's hard to answer like right now, but I do think that it's very much a high likelihood of potential, especially with like Garrosh. It provides threat potential at almost all points in time, and Malf not having the opportunity to, I mean, save anybody, right, with major burst heals. It's a very good counter to those immobile warriors and lack of burst support that we already see in the 1-2 out of BlossoM.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm talking about there. The Garrosh being immobile, being able to put a force wall behind him and get that Shadow Charge 13, eventually later on being able to burn them down is actually an insane combo. That's why I'm kind of wondering if that's what SPT is going to pull out here. And if that's their answer to Garrosh, which BlossoM has been showing they love to run. Junkrat being hovered as a ban here. Good on the wave clear, helpful for damage. Is it something that we feel like really needs to be banned out, though?
I actually would pose that I don't think it needs to be, but I don't hate the concept with just what the composition that they already have right now, so skirmish oriented. The last thing I would want to be overly fearful is of losing too much on the wave clear avenue as well. And we talked about the control BlossoM displayed in the early stages of last game, like what they might display now. I put it as like I don't hate it, right? But I do wonder if it could be a more optimal ban in a different area.
Cassia, to me, stands out. Something that BlossoM has played in the past. It can deal with a Tracer, things like that. Junkrat doesn't necessarily counter Tracer. Greymane and Cassia tend to be harder counters, especially level 7 Greymane. Wizened Duelist is a little bit more popular, but getting that extra, human form range on your auto attacks generally does better because you outrange Tracer post level 7. Cassia can blind and deal with a lot of that, although Cassia is susceptible to the spell damage coming in from the Pulse Bomb. But the Junkrat kind of goes there. We do end up getting the Greymane.
I think SPT just wants to not have to deal, if they get with a turn-in, of not being able to push into their opponent and force a Diablo fight. Junkrat having that knockback ability makes it so much harder for you to actually take effect of your web weavers and push forward with them. So I don't mind the ban overall. We'll see if that's going to work out for them. Leo and Greymane coming in for BlossoM, as you just mentioned. Wave clear available for both of those. And Greymane, great against Tracer, that go for the throat.
I want to raise the question, though, about the Leoric selection, right? With the assumption that we're going to see a Chromie coming out for SPT and the control that that's going to provide, is that going to be too much range threat for the Leoric to be able to be as prominent as he wants to be in the later stages? I don't go and I go, this has to be a concern, but always when you see the Leoric, especially into those ranged DPS like what the Chromie can provide, I just go, was that a risk I needed to take in this draft? Granted, BlossoM looked very dominant in game 1. At this point, you could probably be like, whoa, we are confident enough we can get away with the kind of not optimal trade-offs. just I look at that as and go, you know, BlossoM, is that a step that might be punished here? We find ourselves the first fall stat.
Well, there we go.
I did not expect it on Tomb.
On Tomb of the
all
Spider
battlegrounds.
Queen.
Yeah.
I think that was just purely responsive of the fear of the last pick Falstad from BlossoM and the Entomb into the Mighty Gust combo and the synergy that provides, and the kill potential with the, Cursed Bullet is pretty much a one-stop shop for a one-shot onto anybody for SPT. Last pick. Any thoughts?
Oh, man.
Give me the Jaina. I'm telling you, just... Ooh.
I would not be surprised if we get a little bit of mage style, but with they end up going Tychus, and I think Tychus makes a lot of sense. You can go up against the Diablo. Once Diablo gets souls, which is much easier for him to do on Tomb of the Spider Queen, you can rip through that health bar with that percentage-based damage.
Sure.
Going up against a Tracer, you pop Odin, you get armor. Post level 13, you get Neosteel coating. Guess what? You get armor. It's different ways to deal with that pulse bomb, and that's the biggest threat, especially that Falstad is the pickup. Had that been a Jaina or a Chromie on that backside, Tychus is still good. He's still very strong. He has really good anti-siege potential, very good sieging potential with Odin post level 10, but he's a little bit more susceptible to other styles. But going into strictly a Falstad and a Tracer doesn't necessarily, it's much safer, but it feels more strong. It's stronger,
yeah,
I think, going into that composition.
For me on that fifth pick, I was thinking of some kind of stall or a little bit more dive. And the options that came out to me was either Tychus or the Ragnaros coming in, being able to slow down that push that's coming their way. But Tychus makes complete sense there. Tracer comes in, drops the pulse bomb. You can drop Odin. You're able to siege down the web weavers that come in. We'll see how it pays off.
We are about to see how it unfolds here as once again BlossoM having the Malfurion Garrosh combo to really just kind of flip root down and just bully the hell out of the positioning of SPT.
And they bullied him and gained number one.
Yeah,
that
they
is
did.
for sure. Will SPT find a way to stop the bully at school as they bring in the Tracer and the Falstad and finally that Tassadar. Tracer is her own bully when she has a double support backing her up constantly with Rhaegar and Tassadar there.
She can be a bit of a problem. You know, she goes from Mosquito to Super Mosquito at that point. Whenever she gets the pairing with the Tassadar, Soap is going to be the man trying to help her out there. But one thing when we look at the composition out of SPT is that there is no traditional side laner. Leoric is a very outstanding side laner in this map, and his wave clear and control is very, very impressive, right? Something that a lot of teams fear. The fact that Falstad has to be the one who matches him into the 1v1, generally speaking, he does not gain the advantage in that until post 7.
Yeah.
And even then, it's not so much an advantage as much as it is like a you can hold your own, right? And so I feel like this is a pretty big setback already compositionally that SPT has to overcome, and it's going to be their laning decision that changes that. Right now, the laning decision is going to flip Misaka over. Great Shadow Charge, even threatening Melody C to drop 2 of those blinks out.
Able to get on out. I will say that Leo will get that advantage level forward against that Neil Peasants, but it's only 3 levels you have to worry about. SPT can adjust and put some adjustments to the bottom lane and try and gank a little bit more to make sure that Leo's not too effective there to hold off for the time being. But SPT can also offset it here by just being completely aggressive. Sadly, their aggression is not working out. Diablo picked in the middle lane. Yeah,
that was a very good job from BlossoM. You saw SPT actually try and break the standard laning rotation, but because they never want to leave Melody C with Soap, and the Tassadar Tracer never want to be away from each other's sides, the Tracer is looking for the soak into the one lane, and Soap ended up making the transition. BlossoM goes, okay, we're going to inverse our rotations, just get a gank in a mid, and that's a bit of the beauty that Tychus can provide. That's only going to get amplified post 4. With the opportunity to go the bigger they are, if that's the direction they want to go, suddenly everyone's able to die within that one-shot kill potential into the laning situation here.
And BlossoM keeping up with the trend of grabbing early mercenary camps. This one triggered by getting a kill, so they grab that mercenary camp in the middle, but SPT answering back with their own grab of the Giants towards the south. Should be a nice push here for BlossoM, though. That spell aura, aggressive, especially with the Tychus being nearby.
And it's now a very curious problem that SPT has to answer. Do you defend your Giants with the tri-lane, or do you try and match the Knights over through mid? It looks like they're going to make the rotation where they're going to go with the defensive capabilities more. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know the proper response to the situation, but I do want to raise that it's very curious because normally you go, well, you want to defend that if your opponent's going to be too big of a threat into the push, right? But they don't have a very good sieging or anti-siege composition. They have to kill to make that happen. What you see them commit there, Melody C able to drop the pulse bomb, get the dive pass, but if BlossoM identified that a bit earlier, played a bit safer, hold up here, ZZH getting flipped over, the knockup is there, but there's punishment. Misaka goes in, flips him over, throws him down, and Molly gets that last auto attack for that second kill from SPT.
I really do enjoy how SPT opened that up, though. They baited the Tassadar. They put Tassadar in a spot where Garrosh could throw him and then use Dimensional Shift to get away, which allowed Diablo to go in for the fight. That was an intentional, positional put there for Tassadar to get caught out so SPT could get kills. It was a 2-for-1 trade. Could have been a little bit better if Rhaegar didn't get caught out, but SPT at least are fighting back against BlossoM.
And that's exactly what I was concerned with, is because SPT had a really tough question, but because they got the bait onto the Garrosh, they allowed for the initiation. Because if you make that call and you do not commit to the kill and actually get it, you end up losing, again, like the last game, every single, multiple areas all at the same time. And so that was, even though early in the game, and surprisingly what most would look at and go, this is not that big of an impact, I would be willing to argue that if SPT plays that a little bit more incorrectly, it puts it in a position where BlossoM goes, this game is ready to be ours. We're ready to open things up. In fact, Misaka's able to hold his own, keep himself alive. Nasong out of position once again, and the punishment from Melody C on that Tracer is there. Drops a Pulse Bomb and gets another kill. SPT's fighting back.
Yeah, Melody's popping off here, looking for another Pulse Bomb, trying to build one up. BlossoM not given the opportunity, does back away. The good news for BlossoM so far is they have turned in more gems than their opponent and also have more available to them. They have 28 to move in for a turn-in, where there's only 31 for SPT. They're getting these kills, but they're not quite getting the gems available, getting the turn-ins they would love to have.
Yeah, it's a kind of one of the sad moments on Tower or Tomb of the Spider Queen whenever you're just constantly blowing up everybody, but you're never truly able to zone or threaten enough after that point to be able to get those turn-ins. SPT did spend that time splitting up the goaltending of BlossoM, able to drop a lot of gems in for themselves. They do have enough for the turn-in.
If they can get this with the Knights pushing forward,
that would be huge.
It would be huge, but so far BlossoM knows it.
But they would need a little bit more than that. They would need to make sure that they get a lot of kills. Yes, that would be the most optimal prepping for the Web Weaver phase, but by no means would we say, you know, the work is done for the early game problem that is SPT's composition, because their wave clear is so very weak that the map has to be opened up in some way, shape, or form, so Melody C can be a problem kind of skirmishing around. They do zone up very well, allowing SPT to get this bottom Web Weaver phase, so let's see what they can make happen with it.
Melody getting damage on the way. It's just 20 gems. Can he zone her down? Dudu comes in, but Greymane's able to kite away. Melody, if he had a Pulse Bomb, could have chased that, but not close enough.
This minute I see him start laying that, I'm like, does he have Pulse Bomb? Does he have Pulse Bomb? Because that might have been Dudu going down here. But, all right, so we have no Leoric for a few more seconds here. It looks like it's going to be a 1-2-2 defense on the side of BlossoM. I think that's probably going to be the safer according to the current meta, and they'd be overly reactive to your opponents. And I like the fact that Greymane is hinging on the rotation between, kind of checking to see what's going to be safest here. SPT, though, will find themselves a full level ahead. Now with this Web Weaver phase, you know, it's kind of falsely inflated for now, but let's see if they can capitalize on the small window of opportunity they've got.
Yeah, that's the important part here. Can they get kills? Can they get an engagement? Nasong, Pulse Bomb falling back towards the Malfurion. Flies across the map, and he doesn't have to use his wings.
He was just like, I'm a bird!
And he falls straight to the ground there. 9.5 air. SPT looking for a fort, and here's the thing about that fort. It gives them a chunk of experience. That's 10.
It's heroics, and how much more they're able to get is a really interesting question. The rotation is going to be called towards the top lane, understandably so. APOC not going to hit the combo on a Modern Life that he's looking for. Nice Groundbreaker is going to stop that transition, but top 4 is also going to lie victim here to SPT. That's now 2 forts down. Again, BlossoM is still in a fine position to be able to recover. It's just that they need to make sure they double stack Web Weavers, or at least make sure they don't drop gems. They get picked off and get bullied, but from SPT over this window, because 9 into 10 on a map like Tomb and how painted it can be against you, it does feel very oppressive.
Yeah, now's the time to relax. Wait for that level 10. Greymane being on the south side, defending it along with Garrosh as well. There's always the possibility of still getting a poke too near a fort, so SPT is playing very, very careful. Molly trying not to get hit there, even using the barrel roll to get away, while SPT just preps the rest of their lanes, grabbing Giants pushing the south, and also having Tassadar in the middle to grab those gems.
And this is one of those moments where I'd like to see SPT maybe be a bit more focused with their camp timing. If they capture those bottom Giants, do something with that window of opportunity. That's, again, because Tomb of the Spider Queen is so unforgiving with win conditions, you can't mess up with the microtransactions of decision-making on this type of map, especially because the opponent is formidable as, I mean, let's be real here, any Korean team, they are very scary. So we see ZZH commit to the camp, and we'll see what decision-making they make elsewhere. I'm not saying that they have to defend those Giants, right, or push with them, but it's like, well, if you're going to get those Giants, somebody has to answer, right? So what else can you get elsewhere? Even if it's just going, oh, we've got information, we zoned them off Knights, something, but just not letting it go for free is very important.
I like that you bring that up, because the information they have right now, you see how Misaka's constantly checking out this night camp. They're constantly looking for BlossoM to screw up here and be in a position where they can catch them out. BlossoM reacting well, though, not starting the night camp, not being in a spot where a Force Wall can come out, and Diablo can go for the engage with an APOC that just came up.
Tychus and Tracer were in a bit of a quarrel in the top lane. but they're now making the rotation down. Tychus is going to show this information through the mid lane. Soap getting the reveal, also going to scout it out. Tracer goes in, actually uses the pulse bomb into the trade, drops the Odin. Good night. That is no way. Modern Life. Oh, Nasan coming in with the root opportunity. No, but it's too late.
Force wall. Masaka goes in for the engage, tries to pull in, but Diablo gets flung himself. APOC is not going to help out too much here. Actually, a wasted heroic there as Molly tried to come in and get a nice mighty gust, but sadly could not connect.
That was one of those interesting situations where the opponents were so stacked, APOC actually became kind of counterintuitive. Like you had 4 people that were very clumped up, but they were so clumped up that half the models and animations overlapped with one another. If he had waited, I would argue, 0.25 seconds later and just a little bit of spread within the units of BlossoM, that APOC would have been far less intimidating. Molly ended up using the flight that you could see they're willing to get the all-in. Talking about the all-in, onto Wiz, 28 gems. They're left onto the ground.
That's the issue we were talking about, though, with Leoric. If you're able to get comboed, you will fall quickly. Masaka looking at Condor as well. Mighty Gust in the top right corner. Twilight Dream connects. And Tracer actually gets melted. Yeah,
they end up getting the kill there. ZZH now under a lot of pressure, too. Dudu goes in with a nice another swipe. Gondor gets another groundbreaker there onto Leoric. Or, excuse me, not onto Leoric, onto the Rhaegar there. And then this is going to lead to 20 gems turned in by Nasong, first Webweaver phase.
Dred, did you really feel like that fight had to be taken by SPT? They grabbed the Night Camp, had it pushing in the middle lane, and they had BlossoM in a weird spot while they were trying to get 13.
I definitely would not say it would be a must-have fight, right? I felt like it was a bit of one of those kind of tough to identify what they want to make happen.
Yeah.
And I'll say it over and over again, this map honestly promotes that style of, like, it's very difficult to identify what is the most effective way to try and capitalize. And, you know, I feel like maybe that was maybe me kind of hinting towards the Giants and what I would have liked to see from them starting that, but then also struggling with cutting the loss, right? When is this, like, the moment where we have to kind of readjust, slow the pace, and look for the later stages? For now, though, BlossoM, they have their Webweaver phase, and they need something with it, right? They're down so many structures here that this can't be 50 gems for nothing.
Well, the good news is they can bring down turrets to get level 13. They have an immediate turn-in right afterwards as well. So SPT's in a weird situation where they have to have a good defense, but also make sure they don't lose any victims on their side, or BlossoM will just keep chunking forward. And BlossoM, deciding to chunk forward, picks up Odin, and they siege top lane.
Yeah, the fact that they're going to use this Odin, if I am SPT, I want to take the fight the minute that thing drops. If I'm going to, Molly should look for a flight gust. Really, I think after this drops. Modern Life.
Well, so far, the Gust would have been available, but Nasong did a really good job of not showing himself, making it very hard for Falsa to go in for that play. You saw that he wanted to do so, but Nasong playing well, hiding in the bushes.
Yeah, and he actually even took the step up, so they knew constantly. BlossoM knew the choke that he was sitting down below, that essentially he would have to go all the way back, or at least back to the mid fort, fly in, and just reveal everybody, be prepped for it, and just really just be the one Gust. Hopefully we win this fight. Turn in an attempt, flip taunt, and Cleanse actually going to be used into an immediate dimensional shift. Twilight Dreams that ends up being a whiff. Melody C goes in with that post bomb, but it only hits the Leoric. Wiz is not afraid, but there is the Gust to split BlossoM. Nothing to be gained, though.
But still, a pretty solid Gust there. I can see the attempt just didn't pay out there. Leoric able to get away, and now with Malfurion topping everyone off, BlossoM feeling nice and healthy. Masaka hoping to take that healthiness and try and delete it here as it goes right for Dudu, but Dudu sliding across the wall will be able to survive.
Dudu has 57 gems. 99 exist within the hands of BlossoM. They are so terrified to die here. It just mainly because it's not just losing your life and giving your opponent advantage. You're legitimately going to be dropping the only win condition it feels like going to be available for some time to recover from this game. Webweaver phase number 2 over for SPT. It's going to be timed with the Giant Camp down below. This information is being conveyed over to BlossoM, but it feels a little bit too far out of reach here to further.
Just give up that fort and defend your other waves. You'll defend that later on. Odin is up, so BlossoM does have defense available to them. And if SPT ever oversteps, you have the Tomb available, so they shouldn't struggle too much. It's mostly here about wave clearing and making sure not to lose a team fight. And SPT is actually looking for that team fight. Here's a force wall, a little bit awkward of an angle.
And they can't make anything happen with Falset being on bottom. His flight positioning at that point in time would have to be started earlier, and it's actually a little bit too far how it was when that was started, where Falset was to where the initiation was going to be. And BlossoM should be looking to capitalize on the lack of Falset. That time on how long it takes them to be able to make that play and make this happen is going to be too split. Even smarter so, they bring the fight to the global rather than the other way around. That's a mistake a lot of teams make is, you know, you see the global and you're so afraid and you're like, we have to force the fight, but why are you forcing on the other side of the map? You're letting them have the situation they want. Always bring it over to the fall
That's
stack.
a really good point there, and BlossoM easily clears up the Web Weavers. SPT decides to rotate to the top. I feel like they're a little bit late on this rotation, but still get a turret, a second one as well. Wiz doing his best to clear up, but the Side Storm, double Side Storm, starting to come in for SPT will start to soften up the opponents. BlossoM now in a spot to defend their third Web Weaver, and at least they save their keeps.
Yeah, very well done defense here from BlossoM. And now SPT's got that time window where you have a big advantage. You know you should be able to make things happen with the 16 talent tier. Debatably, you know, top 3 strongest talent tiers, I feel like, here in competitive Heroes of the Storm. What do you get with it, right? Normally, I'd say mid-keep has got to be the thought process, especially with the Night Camp being here. But without him being stacked and the minion wave being against it, I just feel like it's one of those, this camp's going to be easy to clear. BlossoM says thank you for the XP. Keep playing the slow, patient game. And then what was the, when's BlossoM going to get the double turn in? It's going to be, when's BlossoM get the triple Web Weaver phase back to back to back? The good old 3-peat.
It's terrifying.
It is.
And now suddenly the burden on SPT is to try and find a fight and try to delete some of those gems if possible. Even if it's 1 pick, 2 picks here and there and zoning out a target. They decide to go for an aggressive boss call, though, with BlossoM hurtling up so heavily on their side of the battleground. SPT goes for the aggressive call, and it's going to pay off.
Yeah, I like the call. It's going to give them the boss, and it's not going to force a turn-in because of the goaltending of Molly. That's very huge. Keep in mind, if Molly does not do what you see there, this call debatably is going to lose them more than it gains. It sets up the free Web Weaver chain that we're worried about in the 16 talent tier to BlossoM, and suddenly you're like, how did this game get back into BlossoM's favor? So that was very well done, as long as he doesn't go down there. Nice root from Nasong. Boss confirmed. That information allows BlossoM to move up and try and threaten that turn-in. Even gets the gust out. That's maybe not necessary, but also doesn't cost them too much.
Yeah, I think it makes sense completely. Just trying to deny, and the boss comes to the top, and now BlossoM has to come back completely and set up for defense. Now, they'll have Odin once again, but we're in a spot where if Odin is constantly being used for defense, you don't ever get it for the team fight, which means BlossoM continues to sit in their base, and SPT is now building their way where they've gotten past that weird, iffy situation of how do we get our turn in to get these fights, to they're on the way to level 20.
This top keep going down with that boss. This was, remember when I was asking, what does SPT get with this window, right?
Yeah.
What is the question that I said that mid-keep might be the thought process, the slow trickle down. They end up getting a keep. It doesn't really matter which one. It's not like there's that high a priority one over the other on a map like Tomb. So they did end up getting the keep necessary. And what they did do is maybe not able to risk multiple opportunities of getting a fight while they had an advantage. BlossoM now, very appreciative of that, is going to say, yes, you did end up getting the keep, but we can maybe take the skirmish. Web Weaver phase over to SPT. Going to be stacked with the Giants once more.
And catapults in the top lane, by the way.
BlossoM has to force past the Web Weaver phase on bottom unless Wiz finds himself a kill. He's going to snap in Tomb. Modern Life comes in. Gust could be used for Molly. It prepped him very well, but they're not going to actually use the APOC follow-up there. Against that wall, that could have been a 3-man for sure.
That it could. It seemed like they were more concerned about Misaka getting picked off, now getting healed up thanks to ZZH. Mighty Gus is down for a good 45 seconds, but the Web Weavers in the top lane are starting to group up with those catapults, which will threaten core. So BlossoM's on a timer.
Yeah, they very much are. Mid and bottom were not timed maybe near perfect, but definitely close enough to be a major threat. There's the Odin used by Modern. Going to be getting that peel outward. SPT send the false side towards mid to get the poke. Web Weaver phase on top is already starting to help whittle away at that core.
Bottom keep starting to take some damage. Middle keep already there. Web Weaver joining with the minions, 19 have an experience. BlossoM in a really weird spot here.
Yeah.
Wiz has a tomb up and available, can force an issue, but the thing is he's poked down pretty heavily by that fall stat.
Oh my goodness. Do not tell me that BlossoM is able to defend both of those keeps. I feel like mid-Web Weaver phase is very low. But they can force now. See how 20 is not here for SPT? They end up getting the keep, but there's this window here where BlossoM should have been a bit more aggressive over that middle lane. This is realistically the last opportunity they're going to find themselves near even footing. They hold off that middle keep, and that really, kind of a weird spot that SPT was in essentially got them.
They find an Entomb. It's going to be on the Tassadar. Cleanse comes out, and there's going to be the taunt. APOC comes out as well. Pulse Bomb on the back right. Modern will survive. 40 seconds for Odin to be up, so they're fighting without an Odin. Diablo moves on in, gets the engage on top of Greymane, but Garrosh able to save him.
Yeah, very good job there. A nice recall out from Melody C early in that fight, baiting out the Twilight Dream and not getting hit. Ended up making Nasong once again, dropping it out. And they're going to try. The 20 is just trickling away. Gust isn't good enough to just buy enough time. As long as Misaka doesn't get caught out, or worse, Melody C gets caught out. He doesn't get the Ancestral to keep himself alive, and now BlossoM, they got themselves a window.
They're looking for even maybe a kill. A Gust will save them, but that makes it a little bit harder for disruption. BlossoM goes for the turn in, and 27 gets dropped off by Modern. They need a few more, but they have 137 available. This is their moment.
they're going to make it rain gems all over this map right now.
Oh my gosh, we're going to see what's going to happen here as BlossoM finally gets that turn in. They're starting to push in the middle lane. And Tomb is up again, by the way.
This is one of those awesome situations. I say awesome, but it's not so awesome if you're a BlossoM fan. There is one lane that they can provide any threat, and it has to be mid. They're trying to try and make it happen. Dudu gets caught off with the force wall. Not enough mobility to get out of the situation. Wiz actually showed information towards the top, I believe. If not, he was at least making the transition towards top. And SPT, once again, looks at BlossoM and goes, if you're going to split up like this when a major map objective is up, we're going to keep killing you. This is the second game in a row and the fourth objective in a row. We've seen BlossoM go, here's our turn in, let's back. Yeah. Or let's split up, right? This is SPT. If they keep identifying this, they might be able to turn around this series, not only just this game.
BlossoM will have to identify that they can't be doing that. I know they're trying to soak up multiple lanes. They're trying to get that 20, obviously, but still the situation not working out for them as SPT gets a kill, and now suddenly this whole entire turn-in that they have been able to pull off has been completely negated. They were able to soak the experience in the top lane, but still, a level and a quarter away, BlossoM is still backs against the wall.
Do you remember the timer on the boss? It's not going to be up immediately after this. I feel like we've got to have like 2 minutes out, right?
Yeah, I think we're like a minute and a half still
About a minute and a half on that top boss. We're going to use that as absolute. Sadly, we don't have a mini-map to double-check for you guys at home, but it's probably around that window for now. So that will be before SPT hits, or excuse me, BlossoM hits the 20 to 20 window. Boss control goes severely over pre-20 to SPT. But after 20, then you have the whole Bolt Twilight slash, Buried Alive slash, do you want to risk that? Oh, wow, it's way before that then. So this should be the win condition. This looks like SPT with this, a 19-minute boss 20 advantage. They can walk up to the core and just use Gust.
What about
Odin? They have to all in. The Gust to be able to turn off. The Odin's used.
Wiz coming in,
it's too late.
Yep, he has to back away. Odin's been popped as well. BlossoM is going to fight. They turn around and look at Diablo, and he is getting chunked. The sound's coming out, but the Ancestral will keep him alive, and BlossoM is trying to fight a healthy SPT.
Misaka ends up using the APOC, but all the members of BlossoM back out. Now they move away from the boss, realizing they need to kill SPT. The boss is not the biggest threat. It's the damage that the team will provide to the core. Nice job disengaging there from SPT, but not giving enough breathing room. Force wall after force wall, using the 20 upgrade that he goes in, tries to find himself Wiz. He falls pretty low, actually. Wiz is going to be the man drop going into Ghost form. Diablo ends up falling here, but he's got souls. He's going to be back too.
Boss is on the core right now, starting to chunk through that armor. Modern gets deleted as Melody C moves on in. Dudu looks like he is next. He turns around in a last-ditch effort to take out Molly, but Molly survives perfectly fine. The song will be next, and BlossoM is going to fall victim to SPT as the boss has already broken the shields, put some damage on the core, and we have a series going to a game number 3 for the first time today.
That is such a great play there from beginning to end on the side of SPT, controlling a lot of that game. There was a couple of moments where it got a little bit sketchy, but I mean, a Chinese team beating a Korean team on Tomb of the Spider Queen is a sentence I never thought I would say as fact or true.
With a sub.
With a sub of, hello, team? That is amazing. SPT bringing in the fight here.